Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's June 29th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And another look at our daily chart here. You can see we continue to push higher. We closed higher yet again today. Prices are kind of just pushing up that midline. We'll see if they're going to get through or turn back down or what's going to happen here. But so far, we're still going higher. So it seems like every morning we start out mostly sideways and then the thing rallies before the day's over. And that's kind of been the MO lately. So anyway, as long as it keeps going higher, we'll go with it. There weren't a lot of trades today because it's mostly mixed trading until we get this late rally that, that just kind of takes off and you don't really get a lot of good opportunities to get in it usually. So some days are different than others, but anyway, there it is on the daily chart. Let's flip over to the 2000 tick intraday chart. We'll go through the trades and we'll wrap this week up. Next week is 4th of July. I haven't looked at the holiday calendar yet, but I'm assuming Monday's probably the holiday. Actually, the 4th falls on Tuesday, so I've got to look at the calendar, but obviously it'll be a short week because we'll have the 4th of July on one of those days next week. I just have to look and see where it's going to fall, on how they're going to plan that out. But anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. We'll look at the trades and go through them, and we'll wrap this week up. And here it is. You can see it's just a range day. Here's your overnight highs. Here's your overnight lows, and we pretty much are still trading within that boundary. We rallied here and closed on the highs, but we're already selling off since then. Of course, what happens this early in the overnight session rarely matters much early on because it could change significantly before tomorrow. But you can see that we made some high. We actually were making a few lower lows here until finally we made a higher low and went higher. And we had this leg up, and then we had this two-legged correction, and then another leg up. I think if you just measured it like so, it's probably close to being two measured legs. Yeah, it's actually two perfect measured legs. Sometimes you'll need to add this part in right here, this little breakout, but that looks like it to me. And then your two legs of correction, and then you get a measured leg. And then of course there's two measured legs, almost to the perfect to the T, coming down in the middle there. So that leads you to believe this leg here will be this leg here will be a measured leg because you got the two measured legs in the middle, or the two-legged correction in the middle. A lot of times that leads to the next leg, and a lot of times it's a measured move. So there it is, and yeah, let's zoom in here. As you can see, there's not many trades. It's a lot of sideways stuff, and then you get a move, and then sideways move. Then we sold off sideways at the second leg, and then it's just kind of a choppy, rangy kind of day. Not a lot going on there, as you can see. So, but anyway, let's go over here. There was a couple of early 7:30 news items, so you had to be kind of aware of those. I can't remember exactly what time that bar printed. 7:32. So it's just right after it. You can see so you might trade that. You definitely might trade this lower high here. I'll mark it green. But certainly by the time you got a reversal here, you'd probably want to take that. If you are an experienced trader and you understand reversals, most of you shouldn't be trading that. You might have taken that trade because it's pretty obvious it's not anything crazy going on here yet. There is a second entry short here, 1-2. It's a little congested. I think you were okay on the reversal. Maybe you take that trade too. If you did, the problem is here, you probably would have had to drop a limit order to get in that, but if you did, you probably got a runner on that, and it might have been all you needed today. So maybe you take that one as well. The next one's just a first entry short. I don't think you want to take that. I didn't draw the trend channel, but there it is. And then we got the close outside, moved to a new low, and then we reversed. And it just reverses. You don't really get any chance. There's quick two legs up, I didn't measure these, but I bet they're real close to being measured legs. It doesn't look like they're quite equal. We didn't quite get a measured leg. But you got the close outside and move second leg up. You dropped, push back up, and you get a lower high right there. Um, Still way away from the EMA. I like going short there. That turns out to be a pretty good move. You might get a runner there. It wouldn't be a huge one, but you depending on how you play it, you could likely get a runner there. Uh, I don't think you want to go long here. And then we just started going sideways. We been off the we came off the highs. We just came off the lows. So the odds are we're probably going up, but you got to be careful right in the middle here. That also happens to be the close from yesterday, right in the middle. So you got to be real careful getting long into that. So you get these two legs up. You actually get a second entry short there. Um, Somebody will probably ask me about that. I guess if you took that, you got burned, but we already had a move down. And of course, I didn't draw any of this, but you got you may have one leg there, but there's still a possibility of this leg, and you can't go short right into that, right off that midline, right into that trend channel line, and then it actually turned into a sideways. So I just remove that. And it just kind of clutters things up. Um, Again, you're still expecting prices to maybe go higher. You're looking for something to maybe get higher. It doesn't mean we can't turn down here. Don't get me wrong, but generally you come off the highs, which you're looking to sell up here, and then you bounce off the lows, so you're looking to go long down here. And when you get in the middle, you got to be careful. We're just chopping along, and we do get a little double bottom here with a nice signal bar. As long as you got room, I wouldn't have a problem taking that. It actually breaks lower and turns up, so you might trade it as an engulfing bar. It gaps over and keeps going, so I don't know if you could have got in there. Sometimes it's worth it to kind of wait for the pullback and see if you could get a limit order, but since we just came off the high with a little congestion range, I would say no, don't do that. Obviously, you would have survived here, but I marked that one green just because it looks a little congested. It's questionable if there's enough room from here. I don't even know if you could have got in that trade unless you traded engulfing bar. And it's probably a little risky in trading that engulfing bar. So I just made that one green. And of course, then you break out here, and you can see all the resistance across there, the midline. It breaks out. You don't want to be getting long up here on this breakout. But notice what happens. You get a close outside, move to a new high, and a nice bearish bar way away from the EMA. I like going short there. Generally, you want to wait on that lower high to be safe, to make it less risky. So I did mark that one green, but that's a great trade. If you caught that, you get a runner there, and you can ride that all the way down here. And of course, we just bounced across there 3 times. I didn't mark this trade. It's another one that you could possibly take. You can see the triple test there and the nice signal bar. I'll make it green. The problem was we're still below the EMA here, and it looks like we're headed lower, and we're not back to the lows, although you can clearly see the triple test, the strong support, and this makes a slightly higher. I mean, we tried to go lower twice there. The problem is there's just not a lot of room back, and you see how it turns down. It ends up going higher in the end, but sometimes it doesn't. So that's a little risky, so I made it green. And then, of course, we get 2 legs up, and it just turns down again. This is a second entry short again, and it is a double top. I didn't mark this one because there's no break of this trend line yet here. Maybe in the end, it's just a leg up like this. Maybe I didn't quite draw it right, because that does, after the fact, I did look rather accurate. So if you saw it properly and you didn't draw it like I did, maybe you take that second entry right there. So far away from the, I'm just going to mark it green. But if you saw it the way I've got it drawn here, I'd probably make that red. And then you actually get a lower high here, but you can't go short right into that support. And then you get a little failed second entry long. But I don't really like that one. You got too much support across there. We just had this big bottom here, so we could be pushing higher, and you could get trapped here on a little breakout. You notice it does fail. It goes a little further than I thought it would go, or you just don't know how far it's going to go. So that's the problem. But you expect it to fail, so don't risk it. Here, yeah, it went enough. It went far enough that you would have got out with a nice scalp, but you don't know that in advance. It might only go like that right there in reverse and go straight up. So you got to be real careful with that. Um, so of course you get a break here, and you get a first entry long, second entry long, and you basically got a double bottom there, matching lows, so that's a new low. So first entry, second entry. So there's a second entry short, a failed second entry long, and a super nice signal bar, and even a triple test. Go short right there. I tell you, I will say this: the little inside bar that made the 2-bar matching low gives me a little bit of concern, but there's enough reasons here. And you're expecting a new low here, and you're expecting prices to really come all the way back down to here, possibly. At least retest this low just to make sure there's plenty of room there. So, and you actually get 2 legs down. They're probably close to being measured. If not, you can see we came up a little short, not much, and then it reverses here, and you got a new low, and you get a first entry, second entry, and you got a little trend line working up there. I like going long there. Again, you got that inside bar, but I don't think that cancels out this bar on a failure. I mean, it's a failure basically is what you're trading. It's just a first entry overall. If it wasn't a failure, no, I wouldn't take that trade. But with it being a failure, it's going to probably trap some shorts. People that thought, hey, here's a nice second entry short. They're not paying attention to what's going on here. Look at all that. At the very least, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacked side by side. That's a good enough reason to skip it right there. And it breaks higher and takes off, and it pulls back again here, but I'm not as crazy about that one. It's just a first entry. This thing rallies on pretty nicely here. You don't really get another chance to enter it until here when you get your break and you get a second entry long here. That signal bar is a little bit questionable. I think it closes very close to its upper 1/3, but it's a little questionable. So, but if it breaks above that, you're probably going to get a retest of this high. We may go all the way to the high of the range. So I like that one. It's a little risky, and you can see there's a triple test there. I didn't mark the line, but there's also a triple test there. Notice you came back and tested it. You came back again, and you came back a third time. So there's several reasons to like that, but it's a failed break lower in an uptrend, so we're probably going to go back. And that's what it does. And you might even look at this as a higher low, but it's just so much of a, looks too much like a doji. I thought, well, the better play is to wait and see if maybe it'll break up and come back and give you a higher low. And it really doesn't. It just kind of goes sideways before it bumps up. And yeah, we do have a new high in place, and there's a second entry here, and you might look at that as a triple test. I didn't mark this. Let me just see here. I mean, there is 6 ticks there, but you don't have anything extra to play with. Maybe you take that trade. The main thing is it made a new high, so a lot of times you want to wait on a lower high, which comes here, and I don't like the way that sets up. So, this is a little risky because of that new high. We could give it a green. Then you fell out the bottom, but the signal bar is no good. It's very bearish. We break out the top. Obviously, you don't want to trade a breakout. You want to look to fade it. And we're just kind of chopping sideways here until you get another failed breakup. Again, better to wait. This actually looks a lot like this over here. Really what you have is your break, and you get a couple of legs. You get these 2 legs equal 1 leg, then a 2-legged correction, and then another leg up. And let's just see what it looks like if we count those 2 legs as 1 leg, and then this was the one. And so we get a measured leg. Not quite a full, I mean, we actually went a little further than that, but you can see it went basically that to a tick and started to correct and pushed a little higher. Just prices obviously wanted to retest these highs from overnight, and they do, and you get a failed breakout. Again, you like to wait on the lower high to be safe, but sometimes these trades are worth taking. If you take this trade, you probably get a runner here. Maybe you get a runner. If you do, you might be able to ride this all the way back to the midline. Uh, Again, a lot of times it depends on how you play it, and I can't remember um, how high this came back if it would have stopped you out. I guess it's likely it could have, but it opened here. It comes back up here and opens and moves down. So I don't know if it did or not. I was gone to lunch by then. So bounces off the midline. No setups here or anything. Get a couple of legs up. That looks like a lower high, but too congested, still above the EMA, and you see it doesn't really go anywhere until finally. But notice there's a double top, so a new high, first entry, second entry. So if it breaks below that bearish bar, there's enough room there, and it may run all the way back down to the midline, maybe all the way back down to the um, other side of the range, and maybe even just a measured move like we got here, and it gets, you can see it gets a measured move almost to the tick. There's two legs down there, and we're basically where we're measuring from is right here, and it bounces. And notice to get a break in the new low. Again, you generally want to wait on a higher low, which doesn't come here. So maybe you take that trade. Look how far away we are from the EMA. They're risky, but a lot of times they pay off. Um, Again, if you see everything going on here, maybe you take that trade. But most traders would be better off waiting on the um, higher low to get a little more information that prices are definitely working back now. But there it is. So, and then notice there's a new low, and you get a first entry. You get a second entry. Actually, what you've got here, let me just back up. There's a failure here, but you wouldn't want to take the failure because it's just congestion. But notice what happens. You get a failed break out the top. It comes back. It fails out the bottom, and it bounces right off this trend line, possible trend line going up through there. This doesn't really confirm it, but with this being a breakout and a possible trend line and a nice bullish bar, I like going long there. And you get an easy scalp. It comes back and gets your runners. That's not uncommon on a day like this. And this thing just kind of chops on up. There's another second entry here, but it's an inside bar, and that late in the day, I mean, I'm really, sometimes inside, I see these a lot, and the inside bars work, but inside bars are generally very unreliable, and they will burn you too. So you have to be careful with them. But it's right off the key entry point. It's clearly two legs back to the EMA and the trend line. You even got a channel working up here with a break and new low. I mean, that's our bread and butter second entry, so maybe you take that trade. I would say this: if it wasn't so close to 2:30, this was back here at 1 o'clock or something, right here, I'd probably say take that. I'm gonna mark it green because it's an inside bar, but I would tell you take it. And even here, I like it. I just get a little concerned because it's so close to 2:30. And we get the break, and we get a couple of legs up to a new high, and then not much has happened since then. So there it is. A lot of green ones today, not many red or blue ones. You got to be picky on days like this, and maybe you take some of these green ones. Depends on how aggressive you want to be. What I tell people is you never want to, if you're not 100% sure about a trade, don't take it. Never gamble. So some of these you're gambling when you take some of these. Basically what it means if it's green is it meets our entry criteria, but there's something about the trade that's not exactly perfect, and so there's reason to be concerned about it, and it makes it an aggressive entry. So I hope that's clear. Just to clarify, and if it's red, it's a good trade. It meets our criteria, take it. If it's blue, it's a good long trade. It meets our criteria, take it. So there it is. That's going to wrap up our week. Again, let me just look at the trading calendar so we can talk about that, because we may not be coming back Monday. I'm not sure. Well, just looking at the calendar, it looks like they're halt trading Monday at noon, so Monday's basically a holiday. It looks like the market doesn't reopen till Wednesday, so I guess Monday and Tuesday both will be holidays. It'll be a real short week next week. So I'll verify that just to be sure. Sometimes that calendar is a little confusing to read. But generally, your broker will send you something. But it looks like to me the market closes Monday at noon, which makes Monday a holiday. I don't ever trade those days. Don't waste your time. Don't get stuck on those days trading. And then it looks like the market's closed at Tuesday, and it looks like it opens back up Wednesday. So, assuming I'm right and we get a 4-day weekend, I hope you enjoy your long weekend. Happy 4th to everybody. Be safe out there. A lot of accidents happen over those holidays, I know. So be safe, and I'll see everybody. Looks like I'll see everybody Wednesday. Anyway, I'm done for today. Done for this week. I'm going to wrap it up. This is back with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.